Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Eye of Africa. I am your host, Aina, Fadina. Today we're in Harlem, New York, and we're going to be talking to philanthropist and chef Marcus Samuelsson. Marcus was born in Ethiopia, raised in Sweden, and has made Harlem his home. It will be great to hear about his life, his journey, and experiences as a chef and entrepreneur. So join us for another insightful and great conversation. So Marcus,
how are
you?
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be on.
Thank you for letting us have this interview today. It's been 4 years in the making. I remember running into you, I think on 23rd Street one time, and I was like, Marcus, I need to do the interview. And then when Red Rooster opened, and then, but I feel like things happen when they're supposed to happen. It's about timing. So
the fact that I just came back from Nigeria.
Exactly.
To have a better understanding of your motherland now.
Exactly. So how was your time in Lagos?
Fantastic. I love Nigeria. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Did you try anything? How was the food?
Yeah, I had suya, of course. I have to have suya.
Of course,
that was the most important thing for me, to go and get suya at night. And went to the fish market.
Yeah.
But more importantly for me was that I had a chance to cook with next generation of Nigerian chefs.
Yeah.
Thanks to the GT food fair, I met so many students in Lagos that were just so excited about our industry, about food, hospitality. So I can say one thing, Nigeria's next generation, they're going to eat well.
It's good. I think it's scary what's happening in Africa right now on the continent and in the diaspora as well too. What are your thoughts on the globalization and the commercialization of our food, our clothing, our culture overall, from a global perspective?
Well, I mean, African culture has always been exposed to the West. You go back to diamonds, chocolate, you go back to, the history has always been what Africa had, repackaged, the world wants, coffee, But now it also goes in even more to pop culture, right? But, Maria Makeba, Fela, and like Kiju, there's been so many people have exporting that. So now the next step is clothing, fashion, and restaurants and food. So I think fashion is a little bit easier to transport. So the food culture is what's going to come next.
Definitely.
But what would be better, right here in Harlem, you're in Little West Africa, and Harlem is always open-minded to new ethnic cultures.
And it's interesting because when I moved to Harlem, I wasn't quite exposed to the Francophone community that much. It was usually Anglophone, and then maybe a bit of Northern Africa. But living in Harlem, it's a melting pot of, I call it the Black diasporan experience, regardless of where you're from. And, I got to experience, at least that was like the first restaurant we had in the neighborhood. And then now we have Street Bird. Now we have Red Rooster, your first venture as well, too, in Harlem.
And now we have the food festival.
Now you have the food festival that's coming up this weekend.
It's our second year.
It's the second year.
It's co-chaired by Bill Clinton, the Americans. But it's really for all the food entrepreneurs and the restaurateurs of Harlem. We have some of the best chefs from all over the world. Emre Lagasse, Daniel Boulou, Bobby Flake, coming here to Harlem to put Harlem in center over a weekend and working with the local chefs.
Yeah.
This is very, very important piece. This is very, very important.
Why is Harlem important to you?
I think that living in an incredible rich community like Harlem, it's also about why do all the good experiences have to be downtown?
Yeah.
Why should the good jobs, the good schools, the good experiences be downtown? I feel like rather than complaining about that, create something that people want to come to. So then you change the footprint of dining in a way. So with Rooster, with Street Bird, and with Melba's, and with Sylvia's and so on, we now put something else for people to offer so they can come back. And between Street Bird and Rooster, we have about 6,000 people coming every week to the restaurants.
Oh, wow.
So half of them are from Harlem, but half of them also not from Harlem, which means that it stretches New York.
Yeah.
You see other parts. You just don't go to one part of Manhattan.
Definitely.
You come from a big place. Lagos is a big city. You just don't hang out in one part of the city.
So when it comes to the way your style of cooking, there's an influence of Africa there, there's an influence of soul food there, there's an influence of Sweden where you grew up as well too.
Yeah.
Is that a bit conflicting for you, or is this literally your world?
I think It's never conflicting once you know. Being a chef is also about knowing yourself and knowing how to share, and then also get others to get excited about your journey. So the customers has to understand your journey. So you have to articulate that. The cooks has to understand through recipes how you want to tell your story, how you want to cook. So as chefs, we were always told that France was the only place to cook from. And then eventually Italy and Spain, and then eventually maybe even America or Japan. Why can't Africa be a place of inspiration? And it is. A lot of my chef friends, non-Ethiopians, they use berbere. Why wouldn't a suya stand be just as exciting as a taco stand?
Definitely.
You know, like, why couldn't this rice be just as known as, you know, another rice from another part of the world?
Definitely.
So African food is amazing once we get exposed to it. But if we don't expose to it, if we don't have a window in, how would we learn how to appreciate it?
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely true, because there's also the whole concept of the visualization and the presentation, and people they find limitations for the West. Do you think that should hinder chefs because they're so concerned about the aesthetic of the food?
No, I don't think they're. I mean, part of being a chef is also being creative. So you have to package the food so your clientele can understand and appreciate it. Tell your story, whether it's Senegalese, Nigerian, Ethiopian, doesn't matter. And then it's up to you. Tell the story between your culture, but then it's up to you to articulate that in a way so the guest, your guest, understands it.
So when you look at your life as a chef, as a philanthropist, as an entrepreneur, what skills do you think has allowed you to be successful?
Well, I think first of all, I have great parents that believed in me, and they were in front of me, behind me, or next to me, depending on what step they felt I needed it. And then I had great mentors that opened doors to me. But then from my grandmother, also, I got a lot of work ethic. You know, what we do today, to my staff here in Harlem, we have 200 employees here, is work.
Yeah.
It's work.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the work,
Yeah.
you know? It's like, enjoying your work can be very satisfying, but it takes work, you know? I'm the one that has to get up 7 o'clock in the morning or go to bed late at night. So it's very taxing, but I know we have a purpose, and we're making a difference, so it's worth it.
Yeah. Do you feel pressure being in the face of diversity in the culinary field? Like you're that guy as a black guy and also as a migrant as well too, that's received quite you have been successful.
Yeah, but diversity is something that we should achieve because our customers are diverse and America is diverse. So there are many of us that are working towards that narrative, and it takes everyone from customers to chefs to institutions or organizations to be involved in that. And diversity doesn't mean that the food shouldn't be good. Of course, the food should always be good. Hospitality is number one. So you can have both. We're a complex, intrigued society that we can literally deliver both. It's not an either or. So if it takes a bunch of us that have a platform to create that, well, so be it.
Yeah. So when you look at the life of a migrant, you've had a phenomenal story. You were born in Addis Ababa. You grew up in Sweden, and then lived in Europe a bit, training, and then you moved to New York.
Yeah.
When you just look at the traces of all that, what does each place mean to you, and how does that allow you to be the man that you have become?
They're very specific places to me. You know, I think life is a marathon, work is a marathon, and Ethiopia are known for the marathon runners, so I think you have the stamina from that. I think actually I have my sense of work ethic come from my grandmother and my father's fishing village in Sweden. But also this idea of a passport, that when you come from a big place, I come from a smaller place in Sweden. The difference is, you come from a small place, and in a middle class society, you're always told the world is for you. You can travel, learn English, learn another language. So we were told from an early age that we could travel. It was part of your education. So learning English, learning German, learning French was part of who we were. And the world has given me a lot since I was 19, going to Japan the first time, working in France, working in Switzerland. So all of those places are part of who I am. They all gave me something, very different things.
Yeah.
And in order for me to create the restaurant or to create the food, I pull from all of them.
Yeah. So if and people, we're always on the go. Go, 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 go. It's our motto, it's New York City, it's just life in general now. When Marcus is just, for lack of a better word, wasting time, when Marcus is relaxing, because I think that there's a thing, oh, don't say you're wasting time, but if you literally just like chilling out, what does Marcus like to do?
I like to play soccer with my buddies.
Yeah.
That would be, listening to music, paint, and play soccer. Although I can't do that as often as I like, it's still part of who I am. When I think about a social function, I think about through music. I think of being with my soccer buddies, think about being with my wife, and maybe it's a cookout, maybe we're cooking something, and expressing who we are, introducing someone to Ethiopian culture for the first time. So I think it's all one for me, culture, food, art, it's all one.
What is your biggest disappointment so far, if you can share that?
I've learned that your biggest setbacks can also be a great learning point. They're very hurtful when they happen, but once you sort of arrive in a place from that and you get 3-4 months to sort of look at it, it's like, you know what? I came from this place and I'm here today.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't be here unless that happened.
Absolutely.
So there are many work situations. Life is also filled with more rejections than yeses.
Yeah, very true.
And regardless of color, regardless of gender, it just
Very
is.
true.
So it's important to figuring that out, that everything is not personal towards you.
Right, right. So there's so many new migrants that move to New York City or move to a new location to pursue
And I like
their
this.
dreams.
I didn't know you were a cook. This is very good.
That is plantain made in a Ghanaian style way with ginger, Scotch bonnets, cloves all grated up together. So thank you.
Good.
My mama taught me well.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, even now, it's like, okay, go blend the pepper. I'm like, okay, mommy.
Nice.
So for any migrant that's coming in looking to sort of explore the creative industries, traditionally you should be a doctor, a lawyer, an architect. What would you tell that person that wants to go and pursue their dreams?
Well, I don't, no one ever told me that those are the 5 options or 3 options. I think in today's world, go for your passion, study it hard and do your best, and it can take you anywhere, all I know is the world will continue to evolve, and whatever we think one thing was, it's something else. So it's important to, rather than decide what those buckets are, do whatever you can and do it the best of your capabilities.
Yeah.
Once you do that, the world is very open to you.
Yeah.
It's going to be less and less borders. We can work through internet, gives us an incredible opportunity to travel and see things, and we can also physically travel, but we can have experiences today and learn things that we couldn't do before, which it's amazing, and that makes us more connected.
Right. Now you're very involved in philanthropy work. Why is that important to you to give back?
Well, I think, I come from an environment, coming from Africa, you constantly, you have this incredible window into spirituality, but also less fortunate, but also incredible family stories. So knowing where I came from, a little hut, 2 hours outside Addis, I have amazing, I get a lot of strength from that, knowing that I can work through my passion here in New York City. I always feel like this is why we work for it. So in order to give back, like that, I come from that little hut and I'm invited to these incredible rooms. That's something I never take for granted.
Right. And you've cooked for President Obama. How was it cooking for the first African-American president of the United States of America?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to cook for several presidents. So each time, it's a process that you have to respect the process. It's a lot of back and forth. Obviously, it was very special to cook for the First Lady and for President Obama. It's something I don't take for granted. I was very proud that I was given the opportunity. And if you do something well, you're invited back. I'm actually going to go back this Friday again
Oh, congratulations.
and see them, and something that I'm very excited about.
Yeah, it's been an exciting time in our history. I
Yeah.
always say it's now is the time to be, and for like, it wasn't okay to be black before, to be African before, but I feel like now more than ever, everything, the foundation has been set for us by our forefathers to make our life a lot easier and also enjoy the things that we're able to enjoy in today's day and age.
Yeah, I mean, every moment, every generation has their time, their
Thank you.
opportunities, and we definitely have a lot of things set out for us, yes.
Yeah. And let's talk about Street Bird and
Yeah.
Red Rooster. So Street Bird was your second venture. Mm-hmm. It's more of a bit more relaxed,
Yeah, casual.
chill, casual, laid-back restaurant. And the decoration, not the decor, how do you call it? The decor, the interior design here is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Same thing with Red Rooster. You have an eye.
Yeah.
And it's translated in the way you dress. How do you get people to understand what you're trying to do, your vision?
Well, I mean, first of all, it takes a long time for me. You know, I want a street food to feel like a younger brother or younger sister to Rooster, but also achieve other things that you can't achieve with Rooster. Delivery, for example. I always felt like I wanted Rooster to be an occasion, and that you could tell your parents, tell your date, business, because we didn't really have an opportunity to have a place like that. And street food, I wanted to be just an everyday diner where you share every day. Like your kids comes after school, we can order in. Also, so with that in mind, this comes from a diner. The stools come from church. It's also a clear direction in terms of music.
Yeah.
Here, it's about hip hop and the culture of hip hop. A Rooster is more about gospel, jazz, and R&B.
Yeah.
So when I think about something, I think about it in layers. The food is part of it, but that's something that I'm so natural about. So I started thinking about what culture conversation do we want to have. Rooster is more about established art, museum art. Here's more about street art. So I divided first into what culture conversation do we want to have? What music conversation do we want to have? And then what tech operation do we put around that? So then that's when you sort of have, it's of the same, yet different. And that takes years, you know. So it took me 8 years to create Red Rooster. It took 3 years to create this. So people see the fruit of it and say, oh, it's so busy, this and that. I'm like, no, it took years to create it. Years.
So patience is virtue, as they always say.
And thinking it through. I respect my audience, and my audience is very, very supportive of us. But if we're going to give them something, we better have something to say that is of meaning. You know? And there was no delivery in the same way in Harlem before. And I felt there was a need for delivery.
Definitely.
And a different price point. This is very, very affordable.
Yeah, definitely. No, every time, I go to Red Rooster, usually we go on like Friday nights into Janice. And, it's like, you look around and you're like, this does not exist. They did not exist 5 years ago in Harlem. And being able to celebrate, each other. And that's the beauty of, especially when you walk into Red Rooster, that is the beauty of Red Rooster. When you walk in and you're like, wow, this is what the world is supposed to look like. This is how we're supposed to be. The energy, the love, the friendships that kind of like evolve from and then you see people that have been in the neighborhood forever at the same spot at the bar as you saw them the week before. So
no, but it's a place where, for the Harlemite, I want Rooster to be their cafeteria where they make up, break up, come back to. Well, it's like, it's our restaurant. They don't want to make reservations. It's their place. For the visitor, it's like, oh my God, the world can look like this. And for the New Yorker to be really proud, we have a place that is like this. Those are three completely different energies. Keep catering to all three and making sure that all three feel talked to in a nice way.
So as we close off, what have you learned the most about life? And what values are important in order to sort of, as you reflect on your life, what's the most important thing to you?
Well, I mean, I have been very fortunate. I've been able to, the blessings of being a black man, of be able to have roots in Africa so I can understand Africa. Being raced somewhere else and work in the third place. It gives me 3 clear windows into 3 completely different worlds, yet they are of the same. They're human. And life is fun. Life should be celebrated. And I feel very fortunate that people are with me on the journey and support it. And as a creative person, you can never ask for more than that.
It's very true. Very, very true. That was deep. That was good. Because it's a challenge that I think, you know, it's hard to sort of, number one, ask for help and acknowledge that you need help as well too. So I think that's something that a lot of like filmmaker friends of mine, it's same struggles. And I wish we had more of a support system around each other.
Well, we have to create it. We have to work it. I mean, for example, at Rooster, we have our salons. They're there for the creative community to have a place to discuss. Or we work with the creative field to do, you know, evenings here. That, you know, like restaurants for me, I look at them as 4 walls of creativity should be allowed, you know? So, but one has to work to that. One has to reach out to one.
Definitely.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I see you at Harlem meetup.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.